We did not plan that.
We did not have a quorum anyway.
Yeah. That was not planned.
Good morning. At this time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer is in the building. Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Klicka?
Here.
Commissioner Osterhaus?
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Here.
Commissioner Brown is absent, and Chairman Eilert.
Here. And Mr. Schaefer just arrived. We do have a quorum. Would you join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I should note for the record that Commissioner Allen and Commissioner Brown are members of the Transportation Task Force that was established by the legislature, and they're meeting in Salina today. So there are several other meetings that they'll be involved in over the next several weeks. We do have a couple of presentations to make this morning. We'll do so at this time. I'm going to ask Chad Von Annen, who's Director of Johnson County Developmental Supports, to join me at the podium. And I'll ask him to make introductions of those who are with him. But this morning we have a proclamation recognizing Direct Support Professionals Week. And direct professionals relate to those who work with our disabled. And we have something like 1,600 individuals in Johnson County who receive these direct support services. We would not be able to provide the services that we do for those with disabilities in our county without these individuals who are committed to providing direct support services. So I'll present this proclamation. Chad and others, if you want to make comments, please do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, for today's proclamation denoting the importance of the direct support professionals, or as the Chairman mentioned, the DSPs is the acronym we use. These folks are really the foundation of what we do every day at JCDS and in service provision for people with IDD. They're the ones that really are the folks that are helping us implement our mission every day of the week. And at JCDS, we have 500 of those individuals that we support every day with our dedicated staff of about 250 direct support professionals. With me this morning, I have Matt Fletcher, our Deputy Director, but also Habil Matende, who is one of our direct support professionals. Habil was our first winner of a new program that we have called DSP Strong, and this is a pretty cool program, we think. It's a program where DSPs recognize others within the direct support professional group at JCDS for their outstanding high-quality work. And Habil's peers nominated him and then selected him as the first winner of the DSP Strong Award for the great work that he does supporting individuals at JCDS every day. So I want to recognize Habil and also recognize all of those direct support professionals who do outstanding work for us every day of the week.
Thank you very much for this recognition. It's not just for me, it's for all the DSPs. So when I go back, I'll tell them how you guys think of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to emphasize the importance of the work that these direct support professionals provide. It is key to helping those with disabilities to be active participants, not only in the community, but also at the workshop and the other providers who have a wide variety of services. These programs could not exist without that direct support by those professionals. Thank you very much. And now I'd like Ellen to join me. We have several recognitions this morning for the Feed the Need program. And we'll look forward to hearing about the success and recognizing those who made it happen. So, Ellen was the director of the Feed the Need program this year, and thank you for volunteering for that.
You're welcome.
Or did you volunteer?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you did volunteer, okay.
That's part of the interesting thing in this. This was my second year, so I got the privilege of chairing this for 2 years in a row. So I don't know that that's unheard of, but it was great. And I think that's one point to make, that we have a lot of amazing people here in Johnson County. The staff we have contributed greatly to this cause. So if you were a Feed the Need rep or helped in any way in your department, can you please stand up? So before we get to the awards, I'm going to have Larry Salas come up and give you a brief history of Feed the Need, and Rick Beckwith.
Good morning, all. Larry Salas with Facilities. Rick Beckwith championed Feed the Need and was the heart of it. He was the director of the maintenance department. And in 1988, when the Johnson County District Attorney's Office began collecting food, Rick and his staff was given the task of picking up food and distributing it to a local pantry in Johnson County. When they arrived, they noticed 3 families lined up for food, but there was none on the shelves. The Feed the Need campaign became Rick's passion. He began encouraging other departments to get involved, and of course, he asked his employees to make either monetary or food donations. No one had more spirit, dedication, or creativity in the annual campaign than Rick. He had a knack of getting others involved, challenging them to get involved. But he knew that Feed the Need was more than trophies and accolades. He was happy when Annabeth Serball said, "I don't think anyone can beat Facilities," because he knew it would challenge other departments to do more, and Feed the Need would benefit from it. Feed the Need's history is in this room. It's the county commissioners, the county managers, the directors, and the employees that have been a part of Feed the Need over the years. It's the pantries that have made sure that everyone who needs something gets help. I have been a part of Feed the Need for 29 years, and every year I'm so impressed by the amount of food and money that has been collected. The amount of work that everybody gives to this wonderful cause is enormous. And to see the passion they have for this keeps it going year after year. That's what Feed the Need is. There has been so many people contribute to and be a part of Feed the Need. We have a lot of activities during the campaign that have helped Feed the Need. Activities like commissioners, managers, and directors being dunked in the tank, or dressing like their favorite musicians, or Renaissance, or in kilts. And yes, that all happened. Golf tournaments, 5K runs, and bowling tournaments, and many more to make it fun and a successful food drive. I know that Rick would be proud of what we do for Feed the Need, and he would agree. Feed the Need is not his, it's ours to make successful. And I know someday when I retire from the county, Feed the Need will always be successful because of the passion Johnson County and its employees have to help those in need. I and the entire county, or the entire community, thanks you for all the great work you do every year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. This year, we collected 289,769 pounds. That equated to 145 tons. So today, we're going to recognize the departments and their contribution to those donations. With that, I think it's always fun to involve the individuals that participated as representatives on the Feed the Need Committee. So I will have a few of them come up. Mike Pillar with Wastewater, Jane Lichty with Parks and Rec, Rochelle Ramus and Heidi Stitz with Health and Environment. They're going to assist me in handing out the awards today. I might mention we did something a little bit different with the awards this year. We decided to recycle old awards. So we solicited departments to turn in the awards that they've gotten from years past. So we weren't purchasing new wood and that. So the only thing we had to do, all of those that you'll see today are recycled wood. The only thing that's new is the face. So.
Thank you, Ellen. Again, my name is Mike Pillar. I am one of the Feed the Need representatives with Johnson County Wastewater. And we'll go through the list here of all the awardees. We will start with the present certificates of appreciation for less than 1 ton. So if you receive an award, please stand up and come up here and receive it. Appraiser's Office. District Court Administration. District Court Trustee. Legal. Law Library. And with that, we'll move on to our present tonnage awards. The following departments are going to receive the 2-ton award. BOCC, County Manager, and Audit. Elections. Emergency Management and Communications. Health and Environment. Human Services. Gyms. And RTA. And these are all of the awardees for the 2-ton award.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And with that, we'll move on to our 3-ton award, beginning with Human Resources. And Planning. And we'll move on to 4-ton and get the photo with both of those. Our 4-ton award winners are Corrections, Library, JCDS, DTI, Oracle, and Ames. And these are our 3-ton and 4-ton award winners. Moving on to our 5-ton award winners are as follows. Johnson County Wastewater. Thank you. Yeah. And Mental Health. Our 6-ton award winner is Parks and Recreation. And moving on to our 10-ton award winners, District Attorney and Sheriff. And continuing forward, we have our 11-ton award winner is Public Works. Our 13-ton award winner is Facilities. And our 36-ton award goes to Treasury and Financial Management and DMV.
We need to gather a little closer on the lines, I think. Thanks, guys. Great job.
And with that, I will hand it back over to Ellen.
All right. Every year we have 3 big award winners. The first is the Chairman's Award. This reflects the department that has the most donations overall. That department this year is Treasury and Financial Management with 36 tons. And I'm going to go ahead and announce the second award because Treasury and Financial Management is also receiving that award. The Commissioner's Award, which reflects the most donations per employee, that was 627.6 pounds per employee, and that goes to TFM as well. Tom Franzen's going to say a few words now, I believe.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Franzen. I'm the Director of the Department of Treasury and Financial Management. I just wanted to say a couple of quick thank yous. First, thank you, Chairman Eilert, Board of County Commissioners, and County Manager's Office for helping keep the spirit of Rick Beckwith alive with the Feed the Need campaign. It's very important for our community, and we're proud to be a part of it. Also, a quick thank you to Ellen for, again, chairing the campaign. Not easy work, but she did a wonderful job of bringing it all together this year. I would like to say it's truly an honor to be up here to be able to represent the staff of the Treasury and Financial Management Department for receiving this award. The dedication and generosity of the staff continues to amaze me. This is the 6th year in a row that we have raised the most funds of all the Johnson County departments. There are a few people that think maybe it's not as competitive, but I think there is competition there, and I think the staff does a great job of rising to that level. And with that, I'd like to actually recognize a few people within the department that are up here behind me today that really did a lot of the heavy lifting to make this a reality. First, Rebecca Ruiz from our motor vehicle operation, Rod Duque from our motor vehicle operation, Julianne Hawkinson from Treasury and Financial Management in our Suite 1400, and Ashley Ware in Suite 2400. They did all the organizing and bringing it together, so thank you for a fantastic job. I would also like to recognize Deputy Treasurer Greg Baldwin, who does our 5K event. He and his team do a great job of pulling that off. And then finally, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody in the department that had a hand in this. It's been a wonderful effort, and we look forward to next year as well. So thank you.
All right, our final award today is the Rick Beckwith Cup. This goes to the department that had the highest percentage of increase in collections from the prior year. This year, that goes to the Sheriff's Department. I might mention that they collected 21,240 pounds for this year's campaign. So finally, for the reason that we all worked so hard during this campaign, we're pleased to say this year we were able to donate cash in the amount of $71,620.50 to our local food pantries, and each pantry will receive a check for $7,162.05. At this time, for the check presentations, I'll ask Carol Kolner from Human Services to come up. And I believe we have all the pantries represented, so as I mention you, if you would come up as well. Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas, First Christian Church of Olathe, Salvation Army, Shawnee Community Services, as well as our 3 county pantries.
We'll have to get a couple of lines here, so.
Okay, well, that's all the awards we have today. And again, I can't tell you enough what a privilege it is to be able to, or was, to be able to chair this for the last 2 years. I'm excited about passing the reins on to Chief Paul Davis from MedAct and Jay Lipsy from Planning. So we've kind of passed the torch already, so next year they will be chairing the campaign. So.
Well, Ellen, thank you very much for your work in coordinating and promoting and encouraging the participation, which our employees respond every year in a magnificent way. So
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You know, as they talking about the amount of food that was donated, an old song came to my mind. It's you load 13 tons and what do you get? Well, we just loaded 10 times that. And what we get is a benefit to many, many citizens across our county, and also supporting those important agencies who provide service to those residents who are in need. So thank you all very much for a great effort, a great program, and Paul, wherever you're at, you got big shoes to fill next year, but good luck. I know you all will once again accomplish great things. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll take a couple of minutes' time out here and I think they're all headed out to have a Grange pup, maybe. Well, at this time, we will turn to the public comment portion of our agenda. If there's anyone present who would like to address the commission on an item which does not later appear on the agenda, would invite you to the podium, state your name and address, limit your comments to 5 minutes, and we'll be glad to receive that information. Is there anyone present who would like to address the commission? If not, the public comment portion of our agenda is concluded. I do have a couple of notes for the record this morning. I will be signing Administrative Resolution number WD 18-034, enlarging the privately financed sewer district and provide for assessments for all applicable fees, charges, and levies of the Consolidated Main Sewer District in the vicinity of 159th Street and Mission Road. And I'll be signing 2 partial release of easements for the Consolidated Main Sewer District due to the removal of a sanitary sewer line at Glenwood Street and 89th Street in the city of Overland Park. That concludes notes for the record. We'll move to the consent agenda. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Item number 1, consider ratifying the chairman's reappointment of Stephanie Clayton to the Commission on Aging through August 31st, 2021. Item number 2, consider ratifying the chairman's reappointment of Donald E. Sullivan to the Investment Review Group through June 22nd, 2020. Item number 3, consider reappointing Eugene Liscombe as the 2nd District Representative to the Commission on Aging through August 31st, 2021. Item number 4, consider reappointing Lori Plank Allen as the 3rd District Representative to the Museum Advisory Council through May 7th, 2021. Item number 5, consider reappointing Brad Weisenberger as the 6th District Representative to the Airport Commission through July 31st, 2021. And item number 6, consider approving the delegates for the Kansas Association of Counties business meeting on October 16, 2018. Voting delegate, Chairman Eilert, first alternate, John Bartolak, County Clerk, and second alternate, Penny Postick Ferguson, County Manager.
Is there any commissioner who would like to have an item considered separately? Anyone present who would like to have an item considered separately? If not, it's back before the commission. Mr. Osterhaus.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Moving to the action agenda. Next item.
Item number 7, consider approving the August 16th, 2018 business session minutes.
Mr. Klicka and Mr. Brown were absent. Do I hear a motion? Mr. Osterhaus.
I'll move that we approve the August 16, 2018 business session minutes.
Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections? There being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Abstain.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Yes.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 8.
Resolution number 068-18, consider a request from Phelps Engineering Incorporated, applicant, and Dugan Properties LLC landowner for PRB 3, Planned Urban Neighborhood Retail Business District zoning, and preliminary and final development plan for construction of an office building at 6675 West 119th Street.
Jay.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jay Leipzig, Planning Department. This item is off 199th Street, 6675 West 199th. It's being proposed by Dugan Properties. It was presented before the Southeast Zoning Board on August 1st, 2018. There was several people that spoke at the hearing that evening. However, it was unanimously approved by the Zoning Board. Staff is also recommending approval. And just to note, this is for the final development plan for Phase 1 of the office building, and the zoning consistent with the PRB 3 zoning district, which essentially allows staff, if this is changed or if it's added to for the second phase, if that is proposed, staff would we would go through this process again, and it would go through the zoning board and further review. That I'll show you a picture of this is the concept plan. We also have elevations of the structure as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer any additional questions. It is approximately about a 2,800 square foot building. The I guess west half would be a proposed office building for Mr. Dugan. The second is still proposed for tenants, but it would be some type of office use.
Jay, let me ask you, the land is properly zoned for this activity?
The zoning, it's a 1 acre lot. The current zoning is PRB 2, which allows a maximum of 2,500 square feet. This is a 2,800 square foot building, so it exceeds that. And that's why we're asking, the applicant is asking for the change in zoning.
So it's really, okay, so additional square footage.
Correct.
And this is a final or preliminary development plan?
Correct.
And you made some comment that if there was a change, it would have to come back to us. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Within a planned district like this, it's the zoning is applied to the site plan itself. So if there's any change in the site plan, that would come back to you.
Okay. I understand at the zoning board there was a discussion and some resident concerns expressed. Can you enlighten us on?
Yeah, but I can talk a little bit about that. There was a couple of concerns expressed basically about the intensity of the use if Phase 2 was proposed, as it was originally, and so that was mitigated by approving just the final development plan for Phase 1. Also, some discussion about access, and currently the site shows access off of Travis rather than off 199th Street, just because of additional curb cuts on 199th Street creates other development concerns and traffic issues. So that is the reasoning there why that was proposed off 199th.
Okay, all right. Mr. Klicka.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I've had a number of conversations relative to this project here, and I'm definitely supporting it. I know one of the concerns of the citizens along the way has been the parking issue. And I wholeheartedly support the zoning commission, the zoning group's decision on having the parking located in the back, primarily because that subscribes to the Stillwell plan that the community was very engaged in creating. And Jay, to you and to Mr. Dugan and others, Ms. Phelps, I appreciate you taking that in consideration and taking that in consideration what the community was asking to do. And so I'm really fine with all of this. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Is the applicant present? Any comments like to make?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, my name is Harold Phelps, Phelps Engineering, 1270 North Winchester, Olathe, Kansas. I am representing Daryl and Tyler Dugan this morning. They are here in the audience with us to answer any questions that I can't. But just wanted to make sure everybody understood, we are requesting a rezoning, which would allow us to go to the 2880 square foot office building in excess of the 2,500. And then we are getting a preliminary plan and a final development plan approved today. And we are doing that on the condition that our original plan application included an additional phase 2, which was an additional 2,300 square feet. And the stipulation and the agreement that we agreed with at the Township Zoning Board was to postpone the approval of that 2,300 square feet to a later time. So what we're approving today is what we're actually going to build in both the preliminary and the final development plan. Then any future changes or any intensity in that property would come back for additional review. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission on this item? There being no one to be heard, the item is back before the commission. A motion would be in order. Mr. Klicka?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I move to adopt resolution number 068-18 approving PRB-3 planned urban neighborhood retail business district zoning and approve phase 1 only on the preliminary development plan and approve the final development plan phase 1 only to allow the construction of an office building on the property at 6675 West 199th Street for the reasons and subjects to the stipulations set forth within the resolution.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution and the recommendation of the zoning board as well as staff for the preliminary and final development plan and the rezoning itself. Any further discussion? There being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 9, consider authorizing a contract with Westnet Incorporated to replace the county's existing fire and EMS station alerting system in an amount of $1,086,415.82. HGAC contract number C07-16.
Ms.
Morning,
Warnicki.
Ellen Warnicki, Emergency Management and Communications. As stated, this request is to authorize the contract with Westnet Incorporated to replace the existing fire and EMS station alerting system. This project was included in the approved 2018 budget. The current system is outdated. It only offers a single data path and audible only. The new system would offer redundant pathways, so it would operate on the county's microwave system as well as numerous fiber connections that won't rely on alternative networks or pathways that oftentimes, a couple times a week or more, cause the system to fail. So that's why the primary reason that we're in need of a new station alerting system. To address a couple of questions, we did reach out to Westnet to see if they would escrow the source code. However, they will not, but we don't foresee that as a problem. In the event that Westnet does go out of business, we'd still operate the system. It operates off of servers that will be located at the CCC. So the system would continue to operate until we eventually had to replace it. Westnet, from a corporation standpoint, has several large federal contracts, as well as the Department of Defense. So in the event that they go out of business, it is likely that another vendor would come up and purchase the company and take on the contracts, the existing contracts. So with that, I am open for questions.
Questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wernick was responding, I believe, to some questions I asked last week, and I appreciate her taking the time to research that. I'm supportive of this. I just asked those questions because it is probably a 20-year commitment, or at least we hope it is. And while I trust and hope the firm will continue to be responsive and prosperous, the question I asked about the source code is some entities do prefer to get access to the source code, put it in escrow in case something happens, so that the user of the system can then make their own modifications and maintenance. But as I said, I will support this. I just had that sensitivity, and I trust that it will work out. And in 20 years, Mr. Chairman, you and I can debate whether or not it was successful.
There will be something entirely new anyway.
In less time than that.
In less time than that.
Quite possibly.
Here, I thought you were going to address the debate in 20 years.
Other questions? All right, thank you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak to this item? No one present, so it is back for the commission. A motion in order. Mr. Osterhaus.
I'll move to authorize a contract with Westnet Incorporated for the county's fire EMS station alerting system at a cost not to exceed $1,086,415.82 for an initial term of 2 years with the option to renew annually.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the contract as presented. Any further questions or comments? There being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka. Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Are there any other items?
No, sir.
All right, moving to reports and communications, Ms. Bostock Ferguson, County Manager.
Chairman and Commissioners, you have before you 2 items. I do want to point out that we noticed that last week's report was posted online, so we now have updated in LIMS on the online version. So the first item is reveal the vision. Forward OP, you see this flyer in your attachment. They are having an open house on Thursday, September 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Matt Ross Community Center to reveal the community's draft vision and action plan for Forward OP. So I wanted to make you aware of that. And the second item is related to the vote canvass next week. I will let Don Jarrett cover that item.
Yeah, we just wanted to clarify the schedule and process on the canvass. Next Tuesday on the vote for Spring Hill School District bond issue. That canvass is scheduled for 9 a.m. next Tuesday. However, because there is a conflicting 9/11 event that commissioners want to attend, we will convene the canvass at 9 a.m. We will recess the canvass then until 11 a.m. There will be no business conducted by the canvassing board until 11 a.m. So we are trying to get that word out to the school district and to the press. But from the board's perspective, 11 a.m. is when you need to attend.
Okay. And we have noted this is a mail ballot for Spring Hill School District, so all those officials have been notified, I assume.
I believe they have had communication from the election
Okay.
office. Yes,
All right. Thank you. Any questions about that? Okay. And the sheriff's activity does begin at 9 o'clock out at New Century, the Operations Center. Okay. Thank you.
No other items. Thank you.
No other items? All right. Turning to commission comments. Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 2 items to discuss today and share with our citizens. Yesterday at lunch, the chair and I had the privilege to attend the Leawood Chamber of Commerce event lunch, and the subject of the meeting was School District Update, Blue Valley Schools, and the Shawnee Mission School District. Both our new superintendent for Shawnee Mission School District, Dr. Mike Fulton, spoke, and then the deputy superintendent, Dr. Mike Slagle, spoke as well, representing Blue Valley School District. So it was a very, very knowledgeable and forthcoming event, and everybody had a good time. Right, Chair?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
Very good.
And in yesterday's 913 section, we have a very handsome picture of our own Maury Thompson, indicating to the public that he is indeed had been appointed to as our new deputy manager for Johnson County. Congratulations, Maury.
Yeah.
There we go. This is yours. Thank you.
Mr. Klicka.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Osterhaus.
A couple items. Last week had the opportunity to attend the Rosa Parks Awards with the chairman. Those are awards that are given out every year to people who are advocates for transit, and very well attended, and it was a very great event. And then for the second year in a row, Wallet Hub has named the Fort District, Overland Park, their best place to raise a family for the second year in a row. And there's a number of requirements and things that they put together for that, but part of it is it's affordable housing, schools, median income, those kind of things. And those can all be found at wallethub.com if you're interested in learning more about that. But a great honor for the fourth, the first, and the very tail end down there with Commissioner Klicka in the third.
I think mine's growing the fastest, so.
Could be.
So that may be reflective of appreciation there.
Anything else?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's all,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Just a couple of quick things. I attended the council of mayors meeting last night in Edgerton, and one of the presentations at the request of Mayor Mike Copeland, who's now General Service Administration, there was a gentleman there who described to the mayors the cooperative purchasing program that GSA has in place and encouraged local government units, if in fact they had specific needs, to check that program, which I see the head shaking and we are well aware of it. So thanks, Mayor Copeland, for that information. And again, I want to emphasize the activity at the Sheriff's Training Center or Operations Center on 9/11, the dedication of the Fallen Officers Memorial, which was coordinated and developed by a young man who was completing his Eagle Scout award. So we look forward to that. Also, hopefully we'll have a chance to go out and have lunch today. The Old Settlers activities before the rain starts. But we do have a request for an executive session, and I think we can do this in 10 minutes, Mr. Waters? Okay. And maybe at 10:45, beginning. Mr. Osterhaus.
I will move that the board recess its open meeting and convene an executive session at 10:45 a.m. for a period of 10 minutes for the purpose of discussing matters related to security and to preserve the security of county operations and for the purpose of receiving the advice of counsel and to preserve attorney-client privilege and to reconvene an open session in this room at approximately 10:55 a.m. or soon thereafter as the executive session may end.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the request for the executive session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. So we are in recess. We will reconvene following the executive session. We'll take a short break and come back for agenda review for next week's business session. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. At this time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for the purpose of agenda review for next week's business session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Klicka.
Here.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Brown is absent, and Chairman Eilert.
Here. We do have a quorum present. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Item number 1, consider ratifying the chairman's appointment of Richard Gere to the Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City Community Advisory Committee through December 31st, 2020. Item number 2, consider reappointing Keith Johnson as the 6th District Representative to the Fire District Number 1 Governing Board through July 1st, 2021. Item number 3, Resolution number 072-18, consider adopting the 2018 Annual Update as an amendment to the Solid Waste Management Plan, 2013 edition, which identifies updates to the solid waste management system in the Johnson County Plan.
As I understand, this is an annual requirement by the state of Kansas that we have to adopt an update, and in this particular case, I'm told there is no change in that plan. Is that right, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Chairman, I would characterize them more as updates rather than changes to the plan and defer to staff for agreement on that.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Ashcraft?
So can you elaborate on what updates means rather than changes?
Means changing the date.
Is that, or is that what it means? I mean,
And Julie's much more qualified to comment, but if I remember correctly, it was giving some examples of businesses in some instances and listing examples, maybe more so than changes, but
okay.
Julie?
So no operational or procedural changes. It's changing the dates, as Commissioner Click. Okay, thank you, thank you. Very good job, good job.
Terrific
That was easy.
explanation, Julie.
Yes. Occasionally, Commissioner Click is correct, so we'll go with that.
All right.
Thank you very much. This will remain on consent. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 4, consider approving the August 23rd, 2018 business session minutes.
Okay, I was absent, so that will stay on action. Next item.
Item number 5, resolution number 073-18. Consider City of Gardner application numbers FDP-18-04 and FP-18-04, a final development plan and final plat Phase 1 for 2-family and 4-family residential uses to be known as cottages at University Park, first plat, in the vicinity of Blair and Gretna Streets, Gardner, Kansas.
Mr. Leipzig.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jay Leipzig. This item is within 1 mile of the Johnson County New Century Airport. It was presented before the Airport Commission on August 22nd, 2018, for this particular project, the cottages at University Park. This is the final plat for the first phase. It was originally before you in April of this year, and I can show you a copy of the plat there.
And again, this has been approved by the City of Gardner as well as the Airport Commission?
Yes, that is correct,
Okay.
sir.
Well, this is a land use item, so it will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 6, resolution number 074-18. Consider City of Gardner application numbers FDP-18-05 and FP-18-05, final development plan and final plat for 1 commercial building in the Gardner Business Center's second plat, located at the northeast corner of South Moonlight Road and East Warren Street.
Jay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jay Leipzig, Planning Department. This item was from the City of Gardner. It was approved by the City of Gardner. It was also presented before the Airport Commission on August 22nd. It is within 1 mile of the New Century Airport. Staff is also recommending approval of this item for the final plat of the first phase. It was originally presented to you in July of 2018, a little earlier this year.
Okay, questions? Again, this is a planning item, so we'll remain on action. Next item.
Item number 7, RFP number 2018-041. Consider authorizing a contract with iMed Vision Care, EVC, for vision services at a total estimated annual cost of $383,000 effective 1/1/2019 and for a contract period of 5 years.
Who's speaking to this one?
Coming through the door.
Tom, a dramatic entrance.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Tom Franzen. Cameron Aarons is actually on his way up. He was tied up on another item. If we might want to move ahead 2 items, we're happy to address it when he gets here.
Okay, we will come back to item number 7. Item number 8.
9.
Or, excuse me,
He wants you to go to 9.
9. All right, very good.
Item number 9, consider approving revisions to the driveway and intersection minimum site distance requirements in the street construction and storm drain standards for subdivisions.
Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff Oss with Public Works. We wanted to revise some of the standards that are in our street construction and storm drain standards for subdivisions that is kept by Public Works. Specifically, we want to look at the entrance and driveway standards. The current standards that are in the guideline were based on KDOT criteria back from 1991 for very low volume roads, which I think was generally the characteristic of unincorporated county roads until fairly recently. With all the annexations going on with Burlington Northern, we're seeing dramatic traffic increases throughout the county on unincorporated roads. And we feel like we need to move to a more urbanized standard for our site distance criteria. So the current criteria applies to both driveways and intersections. We want to move to that just being for driveways and requiring a study on site distance for any actual intersections. So that's a little bit of a change there. Overall, site distances for our 45-mile-an-hour roads will remain the same. It's the lower speed roads that will see an increase in the required site distances. As a courtesy, we did present this to the Planning Commission in their July meeting. And while not necessary, they did recommend or pass a motion recommending the adoption of these changes.
Okay. Is this a planning item which needs to stay on action?
No, sir, this is a code item, and you can take action however you wish to.
Questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would support moving it to consent if that's the will of the body.
Sounds good.
But the question, Jeff, is, well, why would we not do this? Why, is there any downside to this?
No, I mean, it's just going to improve safety for people coming out of driveways.
And are there any other safety criteria that you're looking at that we need to consider updating?
We are constantly looking through all of our criteria on an ongoing basis, so whenever we see something, we will be bringing it forward to change.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there's no objection, this will go on consent. Mr. Aarons, did he arrive? Yes. Let's go back to number 7.
I apologize. I got tied up and didn't realize we were moving so fast. So Cameron Aarons, Benefits and Wellness Manager. The first item I am addressing is the Vision Service Plan, authorizing a contract with iMed Vision Care to administer our vision plan on an insured product at an annual cost of $383,000 per year for a 5-year period. We have been with Vision Service Plan since 1997, which was 21 years, and we continue to provide an employer-provided vision plan for anyone enrolled in the medical plan. And beginning in 2010, we started allowing employees to self-pay into the program to get a voluntary vision plan. On May 21st, we issued a request for proposal, number 2018-041, requesting proposals to our RFP to provide vision services. We did receive 7 responses, of which 4 were selected to be finalists and were interviewed. The staff from TFM, Treasury and Financial Management, Human Resources, Emergency Management and Communications, and the Sheriff's Office comprised the evaluation committee. Based on those finalist interviews, the committee did recommend iMed Vision Care to replace the incumbent. They are a established provider within the vision industry. Some of the attributes that they brought to the program was a larger provider network. It included a lot of retail providers that VSP was rather kind of scarce in. They did not have as many. There will be a little bit of disruption with people that do go to an optometrist, but for the most part, it's a fairly small disruption. They also have some value-added benefits regarding progressive lenses, LASIK eye surgery, and a diabetic, diabetic management program. The 2019 budget did budget $400,000 per year for this program. Through negotiation, iMed did agree to match our 2018 rate structure. They also agreed to a 5-year rate guarantee. That is highly uncommon in the vision industry. Based on meeting our current rates, plus the 5-year rate guarantee, we estimate will save about $125,000. With that, I stand for questions.
Could you identify the
Pardon me?
interruption that you spoke of with an optometrist?
Yes.
Could you elaborate on it?
Yeah,
Elaborate upon that. They don't have quite as many independent optometrists, but they make up for that with retail centers. They were able to match approximately 88% of the optometrists that VSP currently has. It's primarily a main focus between the structure or the provider networks of each of the two carriers. VSP has always historically relied upon the independent optometrists to provide the bulk of their network, whereas iMed has still a good quantity of independent optometrists, but then they supplement it with retail providers. So it was felt by the evaluation committee that more employees are wanting to have those retail providers. It still enables employees and their dependents to go to an independent optometrist to at least get their eyes looked at, checked, get their prescription, and then they can go to a retail provider where they could probably get their eyeglasses or contacts, frames at a lesser cost.
Okay, so a certain level of service will be covered off the provider list? But if you're ordering new glasses or something like that, you need to go to the retail.
You don't have to. You can still go to the optometrist. It's just an option that is available. The plan of benefits that iMed is offering is the exact same as what we had under VSP. So same copays for eye exams, same copays for frames, lenses, et cetera. They duplicated the same schedule of benefits to the T or exactly. So the main difference is the network and then the value-added programs that iMed brings to the table that VSP did not.
Okay, all right. Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of follow-on questions. Cameron, the current service provider, was that firm one of the finalists?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And before next week, maybe we could sit down. I would like to learn a little bit more about, under alternatives, the second bullet there. I'm trying to understand that a little bit more clearly, a little bit more fully, so if we could do that before next week, I would appreciate it.
Be happy to.
Thank you.
Okay, well, this will remain on action, and let's now read item number 8.
Consider authorizing a contract renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City, Blue KC, to furnish group health and stop-loss administration services for the 2019 calendar year with an estimated annual administration cost not to exceed $4,600,000, and authorize the 2019 plan design changes and employee contribution rate structure recommended by the Healthcare Fund Management Team, HCFMT.
Cameron.
Cameron Ahrens, Benefits and Wellness Manager. We have continued, we're still in the third year of a 5-year contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City. So this is their 2019 renewal. We continue to remain on a cost-plus basis, which basically is partially self-funded health plan with the specific stop-loss and aggregate stop-loss coverage to protect us from catastrophic losses. We still continue to offer one PPO or preferred provider organization plan and then one qualified high deductible health plan. We continue to offer that throughout 2018. Our claims experience through July 31st is running well. It's at 89% of expected. So anytime we're below 100% of expected, we're having a good year so far. So projected claims cost for 2018 is about $29.6 million, along with an additional $11.7 million for prescription drugs, which brings our estimated 2018 claims cost to about $41.3 million. We do continue to receive almost $1 million in pharmacy rebates through our pharmacy benefit manager, MedTrack Services. So that money is used to offset the claims costs incurred under our medical and prescription drug plans. The maximum claim liability for 2019 will be capped at $51.7 million. That does include the aggregate corridor of 115%. So we did have a pre-negotiation with Blue Cross Blue Shield prior to receiving of their 2019 renewal. The final renewal that we did get was a weighted average of a 7.5% increase, which represents no increase in their administrative fees, no increase in the aggregate stop-loss premium, but a 15.5% increase in the specific stop-loss renewal. We had estimated and budgeted for a 65% increase because of our stop-loss experience still continues to run at a very high level. We're still averaging about a 210% loss ratio. Insurance carriers prefer to be at about an 80 or 85%. So that's why we did budget and expected a much higher increase. But through negotiations with Blue Cross Blue Shield, we were able to bring that 65% increase down to 15.5, which should save us, the county, almost $1.1 million in stop-loss premium. So we do anticipate no changes in the stop-loss coverages for 2019 because we did obtain such a favorable renewal, even though we do tend to reevaluate those stop-loss coverages on an annual basis to see if there's some potential savings there. We recommend that we stay at a specific deductible of $350,000 and then maintain the aggregate stop-loss coverage to protect us if we were to have a couple of bad years' losses and to protect our budgetary concerns. The renewal does continue to provide a $225,000 stipend that Blue Cross pays us because we no longer use their wellness program. We use that money to offset increased costs with Bravo and Tria Health to provide the wellness programs that Blue Cross used to provide. So that is included in the 2019 renewal also, just like it was in 2018. Even though there has been a postponement in the excise tax through the Affordable Care Act, that has now been postponed to 2022. The Healthcare Fund Committee still continues to look at plan design changes. However, since we made some pretty significant changes by removing one of the PPO options in 2018, the committee felt that there was no need for additional changes other than the fact that we do recommend that we offer an additional network option. So currently, the county's medical plans both offer the Preferred Care Blue provider network. We are recommending that we continue to offer that network, but offer another option to employees that so choose to want to select it. It's called a Blue Select Plus network. It is a smaller network. It is considered a higher performing network. And as a result of it being a higher performing network, the hospitals that are in that network average a 12% deeper discount off their billed charges than what they do under the Preferred Care Blue network. Depending on how well employees adopt that new network, we could save anywhere from $5 million to $1.1 million in claims costs. So we are recommending that that be implemented. MedTrack has also recommended that we change our prescription drug formulary to their select formulary. That does result in certain prescription drugs being eliminated from their formulary. Therefore, there would not be coverage for those drugs. However, of all the affected members, and there are about 400 out of our 7,300 members, because that includes employees and dependents, only about 400 are impacted, and primarily in the area of asthma inhalers. There are other options. It's not like they won't have additional medications to pursue. In addition, MedTrack has assured us there is an appeal process, that if a physician feels that a member must have this excluded asthma inhaler because they can't take the other ones, they can file a medical appeal and can get an exception made. So we will not expose our members to any unnecessary medical risk through that appeal process. And then finally, we recommend changing our mail order vendor. Currently, only 45 members out of our 7,300 use the mail order. Most people use the Performance 90 program to get their maintenance medications. But we were with Walgreens. They've had some staff changes, and MedTrack has advised us that they don't feel very comfortable with the type of service we would continue with that vendor. So they have recommended, and we also recommend to the board, that we go with the Envision Mail program. That happens to be a subsidiary of MedTrack, our pharmacy benefit manager's parent company. But again, it's not impacting a lot of members. They will be notified ahead of time. They will have the opportunity to arrange for any ongoing meds to be transferred to the new vendor, so there should be very minimal, if any, disruption. Let's see. In addition, because the Board of County Commissioners increased their contribution to the healthcare fund by 10%, we historically have always matched employee contribution changes to correspond to what the board recommended or passed. So we are recommending that our contribution rates increase by 10%. Similar to what the board's percentage increase were. That was included, the rate structure was included as an attachment to this briefing sheet. With the additional savings associated with the change to the new formulary, along with the increased rebates that we'll get, that will reduce costs an additional $374,000. Along with the $1.1 million conservative estimation for the potential savings through the moving to the new provider directory, we anticipate that these plan changes will result in almost $2.5 million in reduced claims costs or increased revenue to the healthcare fund. In addition, to enable some sharing of the additional provider savings through the Blue Select Plus network, we are recommending that those employees and dependents that choose the new network, they in fact will have a slight contribution decrease over 2018. So only those members or employees that continue to stay in the Preferred Care Blue network will actually experience the 10% increase in contribution rates. These changes, we do currently anticipate. I know there was concern in the past year or two that the healthcare fund balance was getting below secured funding. That we are estimating that there will be about an $8.7 million surplus by the end of 2018. That's an increase of $5.3 million over the 2017 fund balance. With these changes, recommended changes for 2019, along with the Blue Cross favorable renewal, we estimate that secured funding reserve will increase by an additional $7.2 million, which will get us to an estimated balance of almost $16 million, which is above the secured funding level as recommended through the board-approved reserve policy. So that is my summation. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain.
A lot of information, Mr. Ahrens. A couple of questions. The new plan you call this Blue Select
Plus.
The hospital choices are which ones?
That is the significant change. Basically, the new network, I kind of almost call it an I-35 corridor, because the primary hospitals in that network remain to be KU Medical Center, Shawnee Mission Medical Center, and Olathe Medical Center.
Okay.
In addition to those hospitals being the kind of the crux of the new network, basically, if a doctor does not have admitting privileges to one of those hospitals, they would not be included in the Blue Select Plus network. And as a result, that is because this network is a significant change, we want to make sure employees make an educated decision on this. We are scheduling, assuming this gets approved by the board, we are scheduling 11 educational meetings for employees to attend before the open enrollment period so that any questions or issues relating to that network can be addressed.
But again, that plan would be option, not required.
Exactly. It is strictly an option that an employee can do.
Okay.
Some of the main hospitals that are not in this Blue Select Plus network but remain in the Preferred Care Blue network would be Menorah Medical Center, Overland Park Regional, Research Medical Center, and the St. Luke's Health System.
Okay. Second question, it's my understanding that in the past we've been able, employees have been able to just renew what they have, but this time everybody's going to have to reaffirm their selection.
Yes.
Through an active process, I'll call it that.
Correct. Just like we did you're right, historically we've allowed what we call a passive enrollment. 2018, because we eliminated one of the PPOs, we required it to be a mandatory open enrollment selection. We also recommend that for 2019.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Cameron, very nice summary.
Sorry.
You covered the material well. Will there, to follow on to a couple of things that the chairman asked, though, will there be any communication outreach, not just to employees, but to their families? Because this is a lot of material to cover, in your suggestion about the Blue Select Plus program, if I've got the title correct, is interesting and hopefully appealing, but to understand the implications of that, will there be any kind of outreach? Because in years past, I have heard from someone who I hold very dear to me that it's sometimes a little hard to track that information and the changes. So,
we do encourage spouses to attend these 11 educational meetings. We have also, through Tabin Group, our vendor, have reaching out to our COBRA participants and retirees, so they're aware of these meetings also, since they will also have a mandatory re-enrollment so that they have the opportunity to attend the meetings also.
Okay, very good. And I just have a couple of sidebar conversations. Maybe when we meet on the other item, I was interested in learning a little bit more about on the Blue Distinction Total Care program, a little bit of about the relationship improvements and changes between patients and physicians, and then also learning a little bit more about your second bullet under alternatives, just trying to understand the cost-benefit comparison. So if we could do that when we visit, I would appreciate it.
Yes. Other questions? All right, well, this will remain on action. Thank you very much. And we will move to item number 10.
Resolution number WD 18-026. Consider approving and confirming the special assessments within lateral sewer district number 1 of Kill Creek number 2 as previously proposed by resolution number WD 18-025 dated July 19th, 2018, and that said assessment, as hereby approved, shall constitute a lien on the tracts subject thereto.
Aaron Witt.
Good morning, Aaron Witt, Wastewater. This item's for the final approval of the special assessments for the Gardner Lake low-pressure sewer project. The numbers haven't changed since what was presented back on July 19th to you. There was a public hearing on August 8th, and there were no objections during that. In fact, there was actually applause during that public hearing. So with that, with time going, I could go through the numbers if you'd like me to, or I could
No,
answer
that's
questions.
That's fine. This will remain on action, and unless there are questions, why? Okay, next item.
Item number 11, consider approval of the cooperative agreement between Johnson County Wastewater and the City of Kansas City, Missouri for the purpose of providing wastewater conveyance and treatment services, and authorize the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners to sign the agreement.
Aaron.
Aaron Witt, Wastewater. We're asking for approval of a cooperative agreement between Wastewater and Kansas City, Missouri for providing sewer service for areas that flow from one area across state line to the other entity. Currently, we have 19 sites along state line where we send flow to Kansas City, Missouri for treatment. Where possible, we meter those flows and we pay them based on the volume that we send them. If the site's too small to actually measure the flows accurately, we'll pay them based on house counts, or with commercial property, we'll pay them based on water usage and strength. Our last agreement was in 1996, and it went for 20 years. So in 2016, we extended it with a couple one-year renewals so that we could figure out where we were headed with our Tomahawk project. Now that we're moving forward with that, the parties got together and negotiated this agreement. A couple of highlights quickly here. The cost charged to wastewater will be determined based on Kansas City's cost of service study that they'll update annually as part of their budget process. And then in the previous agreement, wastewater was charged at 90% of Kansas City's published volume rate for wholesale customers. And I assume, this was due to the large flows that we were sending from Tomahawk. We were the largest wholesale customer at that point. So as part of this agreement, we negotiated that we would keep that discounted rate until Tomahawk is complete and we are online with Tomahawk. And that is considerable because it saves us a lot of money before those costs increase again. And then once Tomahawk is complete and online, our rate will go to the 100% wholesale rate at that point.
Well, it's interesting to note that, the focus has been on Tomahawk Creek and the flow that we send from that facility, but there are other connections that also go to Kansas City, Missouri for treatment, and those connections will not change.
Correct.
Yeah. Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Aaron, thank you for the summary. The question I have is our charges will be based upon a rate study that they do, and that makes sense. When we're in negotiations, will the costing be on aggregated costs for their system, or will it be specific just to us? Because I have heard that they've got some system challenges, and I just want to make sure that they don't try to aggregate it and then charge us kind of secondarily to help them. Susan is nodding her head. She understands what I'm saying. So I hope that's considered, because they have a few dissent decrees and other things that they're troubled with. So you understand what I'm saying? Yes. Okay, Aaron, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We sat down with them following the last increase and went through the cost of service study with them to make sure we understood where the charges were coming from, and made sure that we weren't being charged for other portions of the system that we weren't sending flows through. And we had some suggestions that next time we'll work through with.
So it was disaggregated. It's specified to us. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Other questions? Consent or action?
Consent. Consent's fine.
All right, so noted. Next item.
Item number 12, resolution number WD 18-032. Consider approving an enlargement of the Consolidated Main Sewer District, known as Contract Number 2 of Mill Creek Number 1, and conduct a public hearing to authorize funding for the sewer improvement design and bid phase in an amount not to exceed $138,000.
Aaron.
Aaron Witt, Wastewater. A petition for enlargement was signed by 100% of the property owners. On the map, you'll see the area is actually just north of K10 along Ridgeview Road, where Ridgeview is being improved. This is in the city of Lenexa, and this area is where the storage caves are located. The city has given consent on the proposed enlargement and is actually one of the property owners that signed the petition. Our request includes funding for design and bidding of the sewers. You'll see the red proposed sewers that will serve this area, and we'll return to you once the project has been bid to request construction phase funding. The total estimated project cost is around $3.3 million, and this has been included in our capital finance charge model. I'll stand for questions.
Okay. Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Aaron, a question that often comes up is, does the cost of this development pay for itself? And have you done that analysis and feel confident that those costs and the development will cover? You're shaking your
Yes,
head.
yes,
Okay.
we've conducted a business case analysis. And
Very good. Thank you.
Well, there's a public hearing required, so this will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 13, resolution number WD 18-033. Conduct a public hearing and consider authorizing funds to construct the Leawood City Sewer District Number 1, Contract 5, sanitary sewer replacement and relocation for Johnson County wastewater in an amount not exceed $2,034,220.
Aaron.
Aaron Witt, wastewater. This construction phase funding request is for the sewer relocation project around the north and south Ranch Mark buildings near 95th and Mission. The figure, you see Mission Road, 95th. We have the north Ranch Mark building, the south Ranch Mark building. Currently, the green sewer is our existing sewer, and it runs from the Curavars School and Church that's served through this line. It actually runs through both the north and the south buildings. There's actually a manhole that's located in the entryway of the north Ranch Mark building. So this project will, you see in the yellow, the proposed sewer lines will reroute those lines around the buildings, both on the north and the south side, and that will help us be able to maintain those sewers for the long term and make sure that there's no collapse or anything that happens under the building, which would be very expensive to fix. The construction phase funding request is $2,034,200 and has been included in the most recent capital finance charge model. And the bid award is the next item.
Okay, as I understand it, this is required because of, what, decades old, when the system came in, when the Leawood system came into Johnson County wastewater.
That's correct. When we
The lines were under the buildings, is that right?
That's right.
And that's obviously a change that needs to be made. Yeah. This will remain on action. Is there questions? All right, next item.
Item number 14, invitation for bid number 2017-072. Consider authorizing a contract with Lena Weaver Construction Incorporated to construct the Leawood City Sewer District Number 1, Contract 5, sanitary sewer replacement and relocation project in an amount not to exceed $1,695,207.
Aaron.
Aaron Witt, wastewater. We had a pre-bid meeting on July 10th, and bids were opened on July 27th. We received 3 bids. Lina Weaver Construction was low bid. We did receive 2 bids that were lower than our engineer's opinion of probable cost of $1.9 million. And the design engineer, George Butler Associates, has reviewed the contractor's bid and qualifications and are recommending award, and staff agrees with that recommendation.
This is the companion to the previous one?
Yes.
Okay. Again, this will remain on action. Questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Aaron, I appreciate this briefing sheet and the formatting of it. It makes a lot of sense and gives me a lot of confidence that we're doing the system, doing the process well. I just was curious if there was any idea why J&N Utilities was so out of line. Is that a new company or a company that doesn't do this? I mean, it just stuck out.
It did, and I think they're a smaller construction firm. This is a very difficult project, a lot of risk and communication with the businesses in the area, and I think they were probably saying, we'll put in a bid. If no one else bids, we'll maybe get this project. So.
All right, thank you.
All right. The next 4 items are all related.
Yes.
My instructions say we'll read all four.
Yes. Item number 15, consider authorizing the Mental Health Department to add 2.0 FTEs for the open access clinician positions and reclassify the use of reserves in an amount not to exceed $30,800 for fiscal year 2018 and $175,000 for fiscal year 2019. Item number 16, consider authorizing the Mental Health Department to add 1 FTE for a dispatcher position and reclassify the use of reserves in an amount not to exceed $9,000 for fiscal year 2018 and $62,000 for fiscal year 2019. Item number 17, consider authorizing the Mental Health Department to add a 0.5 FTE vocational case manager, moving the position from part-time to full-time, and to reclassify the use of reserves in an amount not to exceed $15,000 for fiscal year 2018 and $41,000 for fiscal year 2019. And item number 18, consider authorizing the Mental Health Department to add a 0.5 FTE for a mental health clinician, moving the position from part-time to full-time to support assisted outpatient treatment and to reclassify the use of reserves in an amount not to exceed $12,700 for fiscal year 2018 and $50,000 for fiscal year 2019.
Mr. Fortney.
Thank you, Tanner Fortney, Mental Health. We submitted these requests separate because the unique nature of all the positions, they're all very different. I think it makes it a lot clearer so that you can see how the funding aspect works with them, as well as what the positions themselves are doing. I do have a short presentation with some information. I'll go through these one at a time, and then I'll stop so that you can ask me any questions that you like. The first thing I want to show you, this was included in the packet. This is a breakdown of the funding that we're going to be receiving for these positions. And what you see that's highlighted there are the 2019 IAR requests that we have before you today. There's a total of 4 FTEs. But what this sheet provides to you is an overview of all of the FTEs that Mental Health has requested since Mr. DeWeese has been the director at Mental Health. And I think what's important about this is if you go through from 2016 and through 2019, there's 28 different FTEs that we've requested. But when you look at the funding sources, you'll notice that of the approximately $2.2 million in funding that's been used to pay for these positions, only $365,000, or approximately 16%, has actually been county tax support. The vast majority of all the funds have either been state, partnerships with our cities, our fee-for-service generated revenue, or our grants and other funding through our community partners. So with these particular positions, there is no county tax support being asked for any of them. Everything is being funded with our state funding increase that we've received through our community mental health centers contract, with the exception of the the open access clinicians, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, where those are some fee generating positions, so there are some fee for service revenues that will be incorporated with that. But I think that's very important. With all of the requests Mental Health has sent, that the board get a good overview of how all of these have come about. So with the open access clinicians, I want to start there. Just to give you kind of a summary, the way that Mental Health operates is we operate under what's called an open access or walk-in clinic model. We don't operate on a model where individuals, when they come in to receive services for the first time, they don't have to schedule an appointment that could be several weeks out. If you feel that you are in need of our services, you can walk into our Olathe or Shawnee clinics and you will receive basically immediate service. And you'll go through a process which I outlined in the briefing sheet through an evaluation. And as you do that, then we will get you connected with our services, or in the event you don't qualify for our services, we will make sure that you get connected with a community partner. But on the chart that I have, this is our open access walk-ins. Now, these are total walk-ins. Not all of these walk-ins on an annual basis become clients, because as I mentioned, certain ones will not qualify for our services. But you can see that in 2016, between our Olathe and Shawnee clinics, the numbers are pretty comparable between the two. Olathe is a little busier, but between 2016 and 2017, we saw a 10% increase in the number of walk-ins, and between 2017 and what we project in 2018 based on the first 6 months of the year, we're anticipating an increase of an additional 4%. So we've had quite substantial increases in the demands for mental health services, and that's part of what's prompting this request. Next thing is I have a list of what are our data trends. What we look at with our open access client wait times, which is again what's prompting this. The chart on the left shows you what those wait times have been based on quarter beginning with January of 2016. And the chart on the right is the percentages of clients that are not processed. Those are the individuals that come in for our walk-in service, but because usually of the wait time that's involved, those individuals end up leaving before they actually get through the process. Now, we do follow up with them and try to get them back in for services, but there's of course no guarantee that they're going to re-enter depending on what their present situation is the following day. But what you'll notice here is when you look at the second quarter of 2017, we reached a peak of over 80 minutes was our average wait time. And you'll also notice that that corresponds with a peak of about 17% of clients that were walking out and not receiving same-day services. So beginning in quarter of 17, our clinical staff made some changes where we started trying to pull some clinicians from other teams within mental health during many of our peak hours to help try to get those numbers down and see if it would help. And you can see that it did have a pretty dramatic impact over the course of a year, and we got down during this second quarter of this year to about 55 minutes. That is still well above our target goal of 30 minutes of wait time, but it has been a big improvement. But now you can see it started to creep up, and that's because we've reached a point where we don't have any additional resources to throw at this problem. And you can see that that did have a substantial impact on the clients that were walking out, but once again, you can see those numbers starting to increase as well. So what we're requesting with this position is, after looking at our staffing patterns and looking at our processes, we have about 68 clients right now in this past month that walked out without being able to receive same-day service. So we're asking for 2 additional open access clinicians. Based on our current trend data, we should be able, each of those should be able to serve approximately 55 clients per month, which would be enough to not only see all of the clients that have been walking away, but they would be enough to fill the most peak periods of the day, which is our mid-morning and our early afternoon. That's where we have to have our focus. So with that, I'll stop and answer any questions.
Questions? Mr. Edgecraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tanner, a couple of questions and then a comment. In the reading of the briefing sheet, there were references to the reserves. How are we doing in terms of reserves?
Our reserves are, we ended 2017 with reserves, I believe they were approximately 8 to 9%.
And our target is?
8 to 12% is policy.
So we're back in good territory?
Yes.
Very good, all right. One thing that had come up in the past is that the sheriff's office was providing certain mental health services that historically we had provided. Have there been any further discussions about including or us reincorporating those services directly? Mr. Thompson, I direct this to you. I believe you've had some conversations, and I know it's not directly related to what you're presenting, but I will tie it in by saying, excuse me, I'm very impressed by the analytics you're using in terms of the resources you have and how you are refocusing them when you need to address direct client services. These 2 graphs here, I think, are indicative of that. But being on the Mental Health Board, I have heard several conversations. So, Mr. Thompson, given the historical, given the changes that occurred, and I'm just wondering if there's any further discussion on that related to the sheriff.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I have had that introductory conversation with the sheriff, and he has expressed a willingness to reevaluate that. So those conversations are ongoing.
Very good.
I might also comment there is an interim step in place, and correct me if I get this wrong, but due to some grant funding, we are hopeful to be able to place 2 case managers from the mental health system in the jail, the detention centers, to help with the transition back into the community as an interim step.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That's
Mr.
accurate.
Osterhaus.
This is more for our staff, but and we're maybe a little bit early for this, but as we develop our legislative platform for next year, we're of course grateful for our partnership with the state, but I think this is important information to know as they look forward with their funding and their budgeting, how, we're willing to do our part, but, to continue to press them to continue to do theirs. I'd like to make sure that our legislative delegation gets this information about wait times and all the good stuff that Tanner's put together.
And Chairman?
Or maybe Tim, I don't know who put that together, but both of them, yeah.
Mr. Thompson.
To that point, Mr. Fortney or Mr. DeWeese can probably comment on this matter. My recollection is even though we have received fairly significant increases in state funding in the last 2 fiscal years, my memory serves correctly, if you go back to 2006, you can note that we're still far underwater in terms of the funding we receive from the state.
That is correct. So Tim DeWeese, Johnson County Mental Health. So last year we received about a $300,000 increase. This year we're receiving about a $300,000 increase. They're planning to give us another $300,000 increase in 19. That would get us to the 2006 funding level. So just want to make sure while we appreciate the movement, it is just getting us back to 2006 funding levels.
And maybe we could figure out the inflationary rates from 2006 to now to maybe more illustrate that point. Thank you.
Tanner, let me ask you this. These positions, are any of them funded by grants which might go away, or are they dependent upon continued state funding?
We do have some grants that can be used to fund these positions, but no, the intention is all of these will be paid for out of our state funds.
Okay.
And
Well,
state funds can always go away. They're as stable as any other.
I understand they can be reduced, but a grant does go away usually. And so, okay. Well, let's leave these items on action. Will we be able to take them together next week?
If that's the board's wish, yes, you can.
All right, we'll do so. All right. Thank you, Tanner. Are there any other items?
No, sir.
All right, that concludes our agenda review. We are adjourned from agenda review. And we need to reset our executive session, so we'll come back from recess into our regular session. And we're at 11:16, so let's begin 11:20 with a 10-minute executive session.
I'll move that the board recess its open meeting and convene an executive session at 11:20 a.m. for a period of 10 minutes for the purpose of discussing matters related to security and to preserve the security of county operations, and for the purpose of receiving the advice of counsel and to preserve attorney-client privilege, and to reconvene an open session in this room at approximately 11:30 a.m. or soon thereafter as the executive session may end.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjust the time for the executive session to begin at 11:20 for 10 minutes. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Klecka.
Aye.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. So we will continue in recess and reconvene after our executive session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, yeah, when this is kind of the Aaron Tanner show today.
record will reflect that at approximately 11:30 a.m. we reconvened in open session. No action required. We are adjourned. Have a nice weekend, everybody.